What's up guys, this is Dimitri, and it seems like in every show, Silverstone has something interesting to show, including CES. There were some concept cases, new production enclosures, and revisions to some of our old favorites. Perhaps the most interesting though item was this small, unassuming little prototype case dubbed the SG14. Let's take a look at it after a message from our sponsors.
This show coverage is possible thanks to NVIDIA, Gigabyte, Fantex, and NCIX.
So at the heart, the SG14 uses the same baseline layout as the SG13, but it has been slightly expanded dimensions-wise to accommodate its vertical orientation. That orientation means it takes up less space on your desk, but also ensures easy access to all of your components once all those side panels are removed. Speaking of those panels and the case's orientation, I'm not sure if Silverstone realized, but this SG14 prototype does look a little bit like the Thermaltake's Tower 900 case, but is in like this mini-me format. There are, however, some very distinctive features. Its black tinted plexi front panels feature very gentle curve, while the power and reset and the I/O connectors are at the top. So they exit through this little cutout through the back, and you can hide them easily. For the interior perspective, there are more than enough space to work with, and there's even space for 11-inch GPUs. Silverstone did their best to maximize every usable millimeter of the SG14, and it also seems like vertical GPU mounting was definitely the trend at this year's show, and the SG14 prototype did exactly that in order to minimize its footprint while maximizing GPU visibility. And since this is a very early handmade prototype, Silverstone would love your feedback about what, if anything, they should change before this case goes into full production. So for example, do you want LEDs on the inside, or do you want it completely plain so that it has this modern, elegant, sort of darkish appeal? What do you think of this layout? Is there anything they should change on the SG14? Let us know in the comments down below. Moving on, let's have a look at the PM01 RGB. Yes, the magical CES RGB fairy sprinkled a little bit of her pixie dust onto the original PM01, but there are also a bunch of other changes for this version. Many of those changes were actually brought up by us in our video review, so thank God to Silverstone actually listening and taking notes. So what about those changes? Well, for the most part, the case remains adhered to the same layout and the successful design, but the RGB version receives the new Rgb Fan Grills, we'll talk about those later, and now a tempered glass window. Silverstone has taken our advice and removed the screws from the front panel of the PM01, making it a true toolless design so you can access those fans and the dust filter easily. Added a modular fan plus RGB controller, which is at the back of the case, and will eventually be rolling out with the front I/O module with USB 3.1 Gen 2 support. Oh, and that side panel with the horse, that will actually be offered as an option. Yeah, this is very targeted for the Chinese market, not necessarily going to be popular in the North American market. Another major change is the radiator support at the top. You're now able to mount dual 140 or 120mm fans right above the frame, which was not possible on the original PM01. Plus we have now cutouts in that frame so you can mount cable tubing from an AIO or radiator or fans into the inside of the case. As for the interior itself, it remains largely unchanged other than added RGB strips and the fan controller hub. Expect the PM01 RGB to become available in the next few weeks for $150, which represents about a $40 premium over its predecessor. And now let's talk about the RGB Fan Grills, which are really cool. Here they are. So instead of integrating LEDs directly into the fan housing, Silverstone decided to create something different. These mount on top of your existing fans and give off this unique diffused light rather than something harsh that you get sometimes from illuminated fans. So yes, they are another component to install and they may be size restricted. So for example, these are for 140mm fans only, but we all love them. They look very unique, and say you have to replace the fans, you don't actually lose out on any of the illumination portion. And I also wanted to give the short mention to a pretty unique power supply. This is the world's first 800 watt PSU that's fully compatible with a chassis that requires an SFX size power supply. Not only does it carry certification of 800 watts of continuous operation and a fully modular interface, but it is also 80+ titanium certified, making this enhanced built unit one of the most efficient power supplies on the market right now. And according to Silverstone, for an 800 watt SFX power supply to be successful, or even necessary for that matter, there will likely need to be complete rethink and the overhaul in the ITX space. And right now, even with the most powerful CPU and the GPU on the market jammed into this ITX case, power input will never exceed 6 600 watts. So basically this unit has not been built to fulfill a need, but rather it could push system designers towards some very unique and high performance concept. And so there you have it, a little bit of something for everyone from Silverstone. We hope you guys are enjoying our post-show coverage of CES 2017. Expect more soon.